Yay, what up, guys? It's Mateo with State of the Lakers. Today I got my buddy J Mart here, who's a big time Laker fan. What's up, man? How's it going?
Not much, man. Yeah, man. I'm in a good mood right now after that Laker game tonight.
I'm in a
Um,
very good place too, man.
yeah,
That was good shit.
yeah. It was nice to get a win streak going. Winning back-to-back games, especially after that four-game losing streak. But yeah, man. Just really excited with how the team played tonight. So ready to get into it.
I know, man. Yeah, let me give the quick rundown for those who weren't able to catch the game. So, Lakers won that 117 to 91 in Los Angeles. If you recall, earlier this year, we lost an incredibly winnable game to them, and it was our first real bad loss of the season. I thought. I think AD played. We caught a lead early, and we were on cruise control, and that bit us in the ass. Eric Pascal went off for like 20 something. It was a mess. It was really frustrating. This game, though, was an offensive explosion for us. We were absolutely lethal from 3 point range. And I think we were shooting like 50, 60% in the first half. It was unbelievable. And the Warriors themselves were shooting as bad as we had been shooting in recent games. They were going like 2 of 15. And I don't know, for like the last 2 weeks or so, it seemed like we kept shooting like that in the first quarter. Um, so that was kind of the story of it for me. The offense was on fire. We had a 40-point first quarter, and I think that was our season high of a quarter. And then we had a 30-point lead in the second. Um, we totaled 73 points at the half, and we only gave up 43. Draymond ended up leaving with a foot injury of some kind, and after that happened, the Warriors just didn't have the tools to compete with us, basically. But we held our 30-point lead all throughout, which is kind of impressive because sometimes the Lakers will get in a 30-point lead and then they'll relax and won't be able to hold it. So I'm glad they were able to hold it and get LeBron some rest. The dude only played like half of the third quarter. Um, yeah, what do you think of that game, J Mart? What were your big takeaways from it?
Yeah, man. Honestly, I think it was the energy early on, especially on the defensive side. During that four-game losing streak, we were letting teams set the pace, and we started the pace, on the defensive side. A lot of active hands, a lot of tip passes. Even LeBron was, all over it on the defensive end, start the game. And that led to easy buckets and a lot of transition threes. And yeah, that kind of touches home with, kind of how you were just talking about it. The shooting for us, was terrible, during that four-game stretch, but picked it up as of late, and transition open threes will, give us good, shooting percentages. So it's starting to show. I think, like you said, LeBron only played like half the third quarter. I think he played 24 minutes, and that's something that was happening early on in the season. We would win games, and AD and LeBron were sitting fourth quarter, but LeBron's had to turn it up lately with AD out, so it was nice to only see him, run 24 minutes.
Thank God you didn't have to, go into overdrive to beat the damn Warriors. And I know they're playing a little bit better, but I still don't view them as like legit. We should be able to beat them like this or
Yeah,
in a similar
definitely.
fashion every time, just because we're so much better defensively. If we go out there aggressive, like you said, man, it starts with our defense. If we just come out really aggressive on the perimeter, generate those transition points, we punch teams in the mouth and we just
Oh yeah.
demoralize them early. It's like that masterpiece we put up against the Heat in the finals, and that's our best version of the team, man. When we're just really aggressive on the perimeter, and we got it in the Blazers game. We didn't do a pod for that last Blazer game, but we finally broke our 4-game losing streak in large part because we contained Damian Lillard on the perimeter and just generated those transition points. And yeah, that's where we're really at our best, man.
Yeah, and if you look at those two games, you have Steph and you have Dame, who are playing pretty much shorthanded. Draymond's been better this season, not so much scoring the ball, but distributing, rebounding, and
Mm-hmm.
when you can contain those two guys, it really just makes it hard for them to even do anything offensively, and you saw that in both games. So yeah, if you can contain them, you're looking pretty good against the Warriors and the Blazers, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've been hearing some good chatter about Draymond this year. He's been a little better than I give him credit for because I've kind of erred on the side of him being washed for a good year or two now. But yeah, he's competing, and I always respect it when a guy competes like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think he had what 17 or 18 assists the last game. So he's doing whatever he can, and he's always been that type of guy. He doesn't expect him to get 20, 30 points a night, but he's somebody who can fill a stat sheet all around, and he's playing hard right now. And you got to give credit to those two guys, Steph and Draymond, because they're not in a good situation to really win, but they're going out there and they're playing as hard as they can, which is nice to see.
Yeah. I do love to shit on the Warriors, but I do have to acknowledge that those guys compete, man.
The
So I
NBA
like.
is a lot better when you got the Splash Brothers going. Let's just be real about that.
I no,
But yeah,
I wish I wish
with
Clay was
that
healthy,
5 year
man.
that 5 year span was pretty tough to go through. So I'm kind of glad to see them on the outside right now.
I know we could go on a whole ass tangent, but that's a well treaded path, and it's all good. We don't got to go down that. But regarding the Splash Brothers, man, I do wish Clay was around. It'd be cool to see those old Warriors again. Not with they don't have the same band of role players like Iggy and Sean Livingston.
No,
So they aren't going to be super good, but it would have been cool to see Clay. Injuries suck, man.
yeah,
I
they
hope
do.
I hope he comes back. But he's like in his 30s now, so you wonder how many more good years does Clay have left in him.
Yeah, especially he's a quick catch and shoot guy, so you got to have stability at the leg position, and if you don't have your legs behind you under you, yeah, that's tough. And he's had two major leg injuries now, so hope he can come back. It's good for the league to have those guys on the same court together, but yeah, man, it's sucks to see.
I know, man. Yeah. Curry only had 16 points tonight, speaking of the Splash Brothers, though. Dennis
Yeah,
Schroeder did a pretty good job on ball of him. I thought Curry was he was doing a really good job of getting open when Alex Caruso was on him. I thought, oh, Alex is pretty good, defensively. I think more so when he's, like doing that blitzing kind of stuff and help defense. On ball, I think he could use a little more work, but he's okay. But Steph was, pulling out all the moves. He was looking, he was moving well out there, getting separation. I just loved watching that Steph and Alex Caruso just, kind of one-on-one thing, because it was basically just Alex chasing Steph around the whole court, and then the Warriors using that as a distraction to get like some good cutting buckets. That's how Kerr kind of likes to run his offense.
yeah, definitely. When Steph's having his way, penetrating down the paint, that's when they're at their best. So, being able to contain him a little bit, Caruso did well. I mean, he even did well offensively. I think he had 13 or 14 points tonight. So, being able to
Mhm.
contain Steph and score double digits, that's nice. That's a good night for Alex.
Yeah, and of course LeBron always, I don't know, have exact stat line, but it wouldn't have been an explosive night. But Dennis, man, I was looking at the plus minus. He was plus 32 for our team. So if you
That's
aren't,
awesome.
I know plus minus is basically what's the point differential when this person is on the court. So
Yep.
the Lakers were, 32 points better with Schroeder. They got 32 more points than the Warriors compared to off.
Yeah.
Um, Dennis
It's
was the real big, this is just a reminder of you just insert Dennis back in there. What he does on both sides of the ball just
yes.
gives us freaking life.
Yeah, he's always containing, the team's top guard, whether it be a point guard or shooting guard. He's always on that guard, and he plays good defense. And he had a couple steals tonight too. I'm pretty sure. And the team overall, I think they had 14 or 15 steals tonight. So active hands, man, and that leads again to that easy buckets. And it's good to see that.
Yeah, like you said, man, it was energy tonight, and they said, all right, we're just gonna assault them in the first two quarters, and then let's see how we do.
Yep.
Which should be the strategy with all kind of like subpar teams. But yeah, tonight was real big for Dennis. Marc Gasol hit a couple useful threes. I thought, a lot of times with Marc, he gets these opportunities to shoot, and he's kind of a pass first guy sometimes. But I'm kind of like, just shoot the ball, Marc. You got that. You're like wide open. But
Yeah,
then
he had a few against the Blazers too. So I mean, it's good to see him starting to take those shots. And the Lakers need help offensively. I think he's realizing that.
yeah,
On the defensive side, he is a bit slower. Getting Damian Jones, yeah, let's give some love to Damian Jones. First game as a Laker, and he was active too. He had a couple blocks. A few buckets, easy ones too, and that's good to see. And that's something that the Lakers need. Gasol
yeah,
he's older, and with AD out, you need some big guys. And Damian was moving, and I loved seeing him on the defensive end. He moves well for a big man in good defensive position, not just moving, because the guy's penetrating, but he's getting in position, and he had a few blocks tonight. So I'm excited to see him. Hoping the Lakers can work out a contract with him and see if he could help us contribute on the end.
I know that was a great start for him. So if you didn't watch Damian Jones, the recent guy the Lakers picked up for a 10-day contract, 6'11" guy. He played with the Hawks, the Warriors, and the Suns, but I think most recently he was let go by the Suns. 6'11", athletic, shot blocker, lob threat, just the kind of guy we need. Basically, younger kind of Dwight JaVale version, although lacking the experience and the kind of defensive IQ of someone like Dwight. But he's just the kind of guy we need to throw in there like as a stopgap for AD, if whether injury or AD just needs some rest, but we still need a lob threat or a rim protector. Yeah, I really liked what I saw from him tonight too, man. Really good movement. He got a few alley oops, and I was just like, holy shit! When's the last time we got an alley oop since AD was out? I
Exactly.
don't think we've gotten one since AD
Yeah, I don't
was
think we
out.
have. I don't think we have. Again, it's a big body that could get those easy lobs, and like guys like Schroeder and Caruso, and even Talon Horton Tucker, give easy dishes to, and that's something that obviously you have with AD. Since AD could do anything on the basketball court, it's just nice to see that we have somebody down the middle that could do that now.
I know, yeah. And hopefully AD gets back soon, man. Although I err on the side of caution. What's your take on it? Do you think we should get him back soon? Or my thing is
No,
I think we should just let him rest as much as he wants, because especially now
absolutely.
we look pretty good.
Absolutely, let him rest as much as he needs. If he uh, gets close, to hold him back. It's there's no need to rush him right now. I think we're still 14 or 15 games above 500. So there's no need to. We're in good position. This team just needs to be healthy and in rhythm. So if we can get him back a couple weeks before the playoffs start, I'd be fine with that. But we'll see what the training staff decides to do and what AD decides to do. But I'm fine with a month and a half, 2 months if he needs it.
Same here. And because of that soft label that he's been given over the years, I think last year he really pushed to want to play through injuries and little nicks and bruises, whatever the phrase is. But I think this year he's actually he's handling it a little differently based on what I've heard from post game quotes. Let me ask you, what do you think? What do you think about this team compared to last year's? Essentially, what do you think about our playoff potential and just the structure of the team?
I like the team. At first I was a little hesitant not having JaVale and Dwight because those guys are so lengthy and such a big part of what we were doing defensively last year. So I was a little hesitant about it, but they're starting to come around, and I really think it comes down to just hitting some open shots.
It really
Guys
does.
like guys like Kuzma, Matthews, Schroeder even can hit some threes. Like these guys need to start hitting them. KCP is a guy that needs to step up as well. But if these guys hit shots, it all just comes together. And AD and LeBron are obviously going to lead this team. They're going to do what they do, but it's the role players. It comes down to them hitting those shots and the hustle plays. And we got the guys that are going to make those hustle plays. Caruso, THT, those guys off the bench that are going to make a difference when needed. But it just comes down to shot making to me. We got to hit those open threes with Kuzma, KCP. And if that happens, we need some firepower because a lot of these teams around the league are offensive juggernauts. You look at the Nets. If that's a matchup that we're going to have in the NBA Finals, which I do think we get through the West, then we got to come out and we got to be shooting well from three. And that starts with, to me, Kuzma, KCP, and maybe even Schroeder. But those guys have to hit open shots.
Yeah, and that was a big theme last year too, because we were pretty confident in the defense, but I was kind of looking at podcasts, scouting reports from the other side. They're like, okay, we get it. You got LeBron, you got AD. We're gonna make these role players try and beat us, and we did last year. We fucking whipped their asses, and so we need to do it again, basically. But that's an important point you brought up, and I thought that about this game tonight. I just thought, look what happens when we make a few threes. Everything opens up. We just become this fucking juggernaut. We just make a few threes, it leads to the defense. It ties into everything. And we can still beat teams when we're not shooting really good from three. We've gotten a few wins like that. But yeah, we're going to need to hit those threes. And sometimes, we try and analyze, think of what schemes are going to be better. But in terms of scheme, they're generating good shots. A lot of these shots are wide open too. But lately they haven't been hitting them. Tonight they did. So that's going to be a big part of the equation moving forward, man.
Yeah, and then kind of just jumping back to, I'm looking at the box score now. We had 8 guys score 9 points or more. So, 6 guys in double digits, 2 guys at 9. So, obviously, we're hitting shots. And again, it starts on the defensive end. That's going to lead to the easy transition buckets and the open threes. So, they obviously were knocking them down tonight, especially in the first half. Um, and that's the recipe for this Laker team right now without AD. Get these guys confident while AD's out and hit open shots and play good defense, and we're going to be just fine.
Big time. I think it's kind of a blessing that AD, is out and it's not serious because it lets guys like Kuzma get in a rhythm. It lets him have more room to establish a presence on this team. Though he has a presence, it always helps, making big plays and knowing that you can do it when the time matters. Um, yeah, like making more people have a little more responsibility for a bit. Although we saw when Schroeder went out, it was kind of we were pushing too much responsibility on limited people like Caruso, who
Mm-hmm.
we love him for his defense, but as an offensive initiator, he's still got a long way to go, and
Yeah.
that's why he wasn't a blue chip pick because he was, kind of small, but hey, he worked his ass off to become like a defensive stopper.
Definitely. And, a lot of guys have. And you look at Kuzma, he's one of those guys who is doing the other things, the little things. He had a double-double tonight, 11 rebounds. And, that's stuff that he's started to do pretty much all season. He's been great on the boards. And those are the types of things that are going to continue to have this team, trend towards the top. And, the hustle plays that, Talon Horton Tucker, when he comes in, man, that guy, he's all hustle. He's not too good defensively, but he's active defensively. He's hustling on defense. So I like to see that. I know he's young. I love his offensive game, and guys like that are going to have to be the difference makers right now with AD out.
Yeah, I absolutely love THT too.
Yeah, that guy, when he gets to the basket, he is so crafty. Like, honestly, to me, like when he gets to the basket, he's fantastic. He's very creative with his layup abilities, and that guy just when he gets a full head of steam, to me, it's 2 points every time.
It's funny how he always tries to finish with his right hand too, even though it seems like left hand would be a little bit better. But you can tell he must not be confident in that left hand. Um, well, that's something you got to work on, THT.
Yeah,
When he
definitely.
finishes with that right hand, it kind of makes the layups look a little cooler because he's got to do like a little bend.
He does, and he's really good at that. So when he gets his left hand down, game over. That kid offensively is going to be a problem. He's young. He's going to be. I mean, to me, maybe an all-star one day. I don't know. There's something about him that I really like. He kind of reminds me of like a D Wade. The way he attacks the basket. Not really known for his jump shot, and maybe that'll come later on. But somebody who could just maybe get to the free throw line, hit a bunch of free throws, and just attack offensively. That's kind of what D Wade did. He's more of a slasher. I like him, and that's somebody that I want to keep my eye on. For the future of the Lakers.
I know. I do think he has the bag to be an all-star. It's just going to come on his defensive improvements
Yeah,
and that wingspan. He's got so much
exactly. That
potential with that.
wingspan brings so much potential. We'll see what happens with him though. I'm excited for him.
Yeah, he gets lost defensively sometimes, and in some of our really bad losses over the stretch, a lot of it was because guys kind of picked on THT. They would have the other team just move around a bunch, get some switches, and they ended up scoring a lot on our man. So he's got a little bit of ways to go, but having a guy like AD and somebody as smart as LeBron and as veteran and smart as Dudley makes me feel pretty good about what they could teach guys like even Damian Jones. I hope this works out because I like the idea of a 6'11" guy coming off the bench and he's young, putting in good defensive minutes for us. So I hope AD's, he'll take him aside a lot and he'll impart some of that defensive player of the year worthy wisdom onto a guy like Damian Jones, man.
Yeah, definitely. When you have AD and LeBron on your team, it just feeds to everybody else. Those guys are students of the game themselves. They're always learning, and it's nice seeing AD. Hurt, but he's basically a coach out there. Every time they show him on TV, he's talking to players and coaching them. So the Lakers are in good hands. There's a good core here of young players. Your Carusos, your Kuzmas, your THTs. Those are guys you could really build around, and they're learning from the absolute best. I mean, two of the top 5 players in the league are sharing their knowledge to honestly a bunch of guys who can really make some things of themselves.
It seems like we got a lot of this untapped potential, man. And shout out to the front office for drafting really fucking well in the second round, late first round. Shout out
Yeah,
to them.
I mean, even guys on the buyout market, Damian Jones. It seems like a good find. I know it's one game, small sample size, but he's what you want to see. Again, athletic, big, 6'11", that could move and maybe work a little bit offensively. So that's nice to see. And again, we're in good hands with the front office.
Yeah. Let me ask you one last thing. What do you think of Montrezl Harrell, his place on the team, and what he'll be like come playoff time? What are your thoughts on him?
He's going to be a very big part, because to me, at first, I'm thinking he's taking the Dwight and JaVale minutes, and he kind of has, and he's kind of in and out. The beginning of the season, we thought he was doing fantastic. I thought he was, but lately he's been kind of hit or miss. Like he'll show up one game and not do so much the other. Like tonight, he only played 11 minutes and had 6 points, but um, he's somebody that late down the season, I think he's going to be a huge part. He's very active. He's honestly really good offensively. He's got a couple moves in his bag. That little push shot that he has is really nice. And
Mhm.
he has great putback potential. He's great offensively on the rebounding side and defensively. He's a great rebounder when he's out there. So he's somebody who's going to be a huge part for our playoff rotation, and it's going to be nice to see what he could do. I'm glad we took him from the Clippers. I'm hope he gets a Western Conference Final showdown against them and can stick it to them, and then go on and win a title against the Nets, hopefully.
Yeah, it feels like this year might be the year of the big Western Conference showdown.
Yeah,
It feels like it's actually going to happen this year.
yeah. Although
We
Utah,
were pretty
Utah looks,
certain.
Utah's scary, man. That team is. I didn't really buy into the hype until we played them, and they're good. Those guys can shoot the ball. I'm worried about them, to be quite honest. I think it's a 3-team race for the West. Don't count out Phoenix because having those two guards, Chris Paul and Devin Booker. But those 3 teams up top, the Lakers, Clippers, and Jazz, I think it's going to be a gauntlet. This one of us are going to face Utah. I think us or the Clippers, and then face off in the Western Conference Finals. But Utah's a good team.
Yeah, they were given a lot of pretty glowing predictions before last year, and then Mike Conley ended up getting hurt, and then Bogdanovich, he was a good ad for them. He ended up getting hurt too, and so they never really found the rhythm, and then they lose that 3-1 lead. I think they've been giving some, advantageous circumstances. When they blew their 3-1 lead, they also got to get a lot more rest than compared to us. So I think that's also contributed to how good they've been. But they've also, they have a good makeup of their team, between the outside shooting. We got buried from three by them. Um, you look at that, and it's also their continuity, too. They have like 8 or 9 of their players were from last year's playoff team, and they just got back Derek Favors, I think, who was with the Jazz for 9 years. So they have a fuck ton of continuity, and they got a little bit more rest. So I think that's contributing to their hot start. I'm pretty confident in the Lakers matchup with them, just because every time we played them last year, Rudy Gobert just got fucking cooked. They just did not have an answer for AD because he would take him out to the perimeter. He'd just throw a three up in his face, and I'm pretty okay about Utah. I'm not that worried about them, but things can develop. So we'll see what that evolves into, man.
Yeah.
I think the Clippers are actually someone who I'm a little bit more, I wouldn't say fearful, but I would think that they'd be a little better this year because they blew that 3-1 lead too. They have a bit of continuity, but I don't know. I feel like when you blow a 3-1 lead like that, it'll scar you, and you'll respect the game more. You're not going to take possessions off, and you're not going to think, oh yeah, we'll get them next game. No, they're embarrassed in the biggest way possible. So I think the Clippers, even though they just lost to the Bucks, Kawhi, he hit like a he didn't hit it actually. He just rimmed out from the front. Anyways, I still think the Clippers might be a pretty decent threat to us. I think they'd be
Yeah,
than last
speaking
year.
on the Clippers, I think I saw that their last 9 field goal attempts in that game against the Bucks were shot by Paul George and Kawhi, 0 for 9.
I
So
love it. I love it.
they gotta show up when it matters, and big minutes like that, you want to see those two guys hitting shots, not going 0 for 9. But we'll see what happens, man. The West is to me it's always a gauntlet. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. I think that about sums up my thoughts and all. You got any parting thoughts, J Mart?
No, man, I'm excited for the next one. I think we got Phoenix. Again, those two guards, Booker and Chris Paul, they're tough. Lakers generally have problems with guards. So let's see what happens. I'm excited for that one.
And you know Chris Paul's going to show out for his buddy
Oh,
LeBron
definitely.
and vice versa. And probably
Definitely.
Booker. Booker's probably going to have an amazing game. So that's going to be a much more a stronger opponent than the Warriors. So that's going to be a good one.
Yep.
Hey, thanks for coming on, man. Great talking to you.
No problem. Let's do it again.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
You got it.
Mm-hmm.